Welcome to The Explainer. So, you might have heard the news. In early 2026, India and the European Union announced a trade agreement that is, frankly, so massive, everyone's calling it historic. Today, we're going to cut through all the noise, go straight to the official announcements, and figure out what this deal actually means.
Okay, so let's just dive right in. The first thing you notice is the ambition here. I mean, they didn't roll this out with some dry, boring economic statement. Nope. They used phrases like a new era. That tells you right off the bat that both sides see this as way more than just a trade deal. This is a fundamental shift.
And that really gets to the heart of it. This whole thing is about strategic alignment, not just about lowering tariffs. You've got two of the biggest democratic economies on the planet. India is number 4, the EU is number 2, basically locking arms. They're creating a partnership that's just as much about shared values as it is about business.
And the foundation they're building on? It's already enormous. We're starting with a whopping $180 billion in trade flowing between them every single year. So you can think of that as the launch pad. This new agreement? Well, that's meant to be the rocket fuel.
So what's actually inside this thing they're calling the mother of all deals? Let's get into the nitty-gritty of how this is supposed to unlock one of the biggest markets in the world for Indian goods.
Okay, this is where you see the immediate power of the deal. Right from day one, bam! Over 90% of all Indian exports, by value, can now get into the EU completely tariff-free. It's like someone just flipped a switch and a massive cost barrier just vanished overnight. And that overnight change, it translates into real money, and fast. We're talking more than $33 billion worth of Indian products that are suddenly way more affordable and competitive for European buyers. That is a huge injection of opportunity, right from the get-go.
And right here, you can see exactly who the biggest winners are. I mean, just imagine you're an Indian seafood exporter. One day, you're facing a, frankly, staggering 26% tariff to sell in Europe. The next day, it's zero. For major industries like textiles and leather, this isn't a small tweak. It's a total game changer.
But here's the other side of the coin. The agreement shows a pretty careful balancing act. So while India got this incredible access for its key exports, it also put up a kind of protective shield around its own sensitive domestic industries, like dairy and poultry, to make sure they wouldn't get swamped by European imports.
But this deal is about so much more than just shipping containers full of stuff. Any truly modern trade agreement is also about the movement of people, of skills, of ideas. And that brings us to the absolutely crucial topic of services. You know how complicated visas and international work rules can be, right? Well, one of the biggest hurdles is often that confusing red tape. This deal tackles that problem head-on. It creates these clear, streamlined pathways for Indian professionals to work in the EU, whether they're just visiting for a meeting, moving within their own company, or working as an independent pro. And this is a huge win for India's incredibly powerful service sector. The agreement opens the door to 144 different subsectors across the EU, from IT services to financial consulting. And get this, in a really fascinating move, it even carves out a special pathway for practitioners of traditional Indian medicine, AUISH, to offer their services in Europe. Okay, so now the agreement shifts gears. It takes another massive step, moving beyond economics into a formal strategic alliance, with a really clear focus on security and defense. So what does that actually mean in practice? Well, it means security is no longer a side conversation. It's now a central pillar of the entire relationship. It creates a formal structure for India and the EU to work together on shared threats and to publicly stand up for what they call a rules-based international order, which is basically the global system that's supposed to prevent conflicts and promote stability.
And we're not talking about vague promises here. The partnership gets super specific. It calls for much closer teamwork on everything from counter-terrorism and cybersecurity to keeping the seas safe in key regions like the Indo-Pacific. It even opens the door for them to co-develop new defense technology together.
All right, so let's zoom out one last time. We've seen the trade, we've seen the services, we've seen the security pact. But what's the grand vision here? Where is this incredibly deep partnership actually headed in the long run? Well, to make sure this vision actually becomes a reality, they've laid out this ambitious 5-year roadmap. It's a clear game plan to build on this new foundation. You've got concrete goals for boosting prosperity, driving innovation, deepening those security ties, and ultimately just forging stronger bonds between their people. And if you're going to remember one phrase from this entire thing, make it this one: a partnership for the global good.
This is really the ultimate message, the bumper sticker for the whole agreement. They want the world to see this alliance not just as a deal that benefits them, but as a powerful, stabilizing force in what's become an increasingly unpredictable world.
So when you put it all together, everything from zero tariffs on textiles to joint cybersecurity operations, you start to see the outline of a new kind of global powerhouse. This isn't just a trade deal. It's a blueprint for a new kind of alliance. And the really big question it leaves us with is the one you see right here. How will this partnership between two democratic giants truly reshape the global order?